The stars looked quiet, but far beyond the last known system, something moved in the darkness. A small alien colony floated in the shadow of a dying star. It was a place of peace until the night the sky screamed. The attack came without warning. No ships on radar, no sounds in space, only shadows. The buildings burned, the ground cracked. The air filled with strange, cold lights. The aliens didn't fight. They only ran, cried, and tried to send a message. The last thing they said before. Their station went dark. Help, please. Anyone. Help. On Earth, deep under the ice of Antarctica, a listening post sat silent. Humans had placed it there to catch messages from deep space, old echoes, strange signals, or even alien music. But that night, something changed. Double quote, sir, we got something, shouted a young technician. His fingers moved fast across the screen. It's not background noise. It's a distress call. From outside the Orion border, Commander Malik stood behind him. Orion border? That's wild space. Who would even live out there? The technician didn't blink. I don't know, sir. But they're in trouble. Malik leaned in. The message played again. It was broken. Static cut through it like a knife. They came. Fire, no warning. Please, anyone help. And then silence. The room fell still. Is this real? Malik asked. The technician looked up. It's real. 2 days later, Earth Command met in orbit above the planet. The leaders debated. Some said ignore the call. We have no treaty with them, no obligation. Others warned it could be a trap. What if they want to lure us into deep space? But one voice spoke louder. Admiral Royce, a man with cold eyes and a calm voice, he simply said, if we ignore this, we are no better than those who attacked them. That was the end of the debate. Earth sent a team. The human ship Ravenlight traveled fast, cutting across known space like a bullet. Captain Ilara Stone led the mission. She stood tall, her uniform sharp, her eyes sharper. On day 4, they crossed into the edge of the Orion border. No one spoke much. The stars here looked strange, dim, quiet, like they were hiding something. Ilara sat in the command chair. ETA to distress coordinates. 6 hours, replied her pilot, Anders. But I don't like this. Whole sectors. Dead, no signals, no traffic, not even rogue miners. Ilara didn't blink. We didn't come here to feel safe. When they reached the colony, the crew froze. It was gone. Where there should have been buildings, gardens, lights, there was only ruin. Twisted metal floated in space. The ground station was cracked open, like something had clawed it apart. Fires still burned inside. Oxygen hissed into the void. They scanned for life. Nothing. And then something moved. Captain, yelled Anders. We have movement. Inside the wreck. The crew suited up and boarded the station. It was silent, cold. They stepped over broken walls and burned alien furniture. There were no bodies. Just strange mark slashes on the walls, black scorch patterns, and a symbol, a circle with claws. What is that? Whispered Medic Kara. Ilara took a photo. Don't know, but it's fresh. Then came the scream. From deep inside the wreck, a child's voice echoed. Small, high-pitched. It spoke in an alien tongue, but fear sounded the same in any language. The team ran toward it. In a small room under the wreckage, they found her. A little alien girl, no more than 7 years old. Blue skin, big black eyes, shaking under a table. Reached for her. It's okay. We're here to help. The girl looked up. Her eyes were wide. She pointed to the walls and whispered, they are still here. Back on the ship, the girl stayed quiet at first. She held a doll made of metal wires. Her name was Lura. She finally spoke through the translator. They came in silence, from the dark. No sound, no words, just fire. Who are they? Asked. Ilara. Lura looked away. Monsters, They eat light. They erase. Did you see what they looked like? She nodded and pointed at her drawing. A black sun with sharp teeth. That night, Ravenlight's sensors picked up something strange. A ship. Small. Fast. Trying to leave the system. Ilara narrowed her eyes. Unknown ship. No ID, no lights, no reply. It didn't help the colony. It's leaving now. Why? Run a scan, she ordered. The results came in cold. No life signs. But the ship is active. Dead ship flying? Muttered Anders. Ilara shook her head. Or they don't want to be seen. They tried to hail it. No response. Target lock it, said Ilara. Fire a warning shot. A blue beam fired across space. The ship didn't stop. So they fired again, this time to hit. The blast struck the ship's engine. It flickered, smoked, but instead of exploding, it shimmered and vanished. Gone, like it was never there. Cloaking tech? Anders whispered. Kara shook her head. No, that was something else. Ilara stared at the empty radar. They're watching us. The next day, Lura began drawing again. Not ships. Not stars. Eyes, big black eyes in the walls, she said. Kara asked. Lura, do you mean sensors? No, she whispered. Eyes that see your mind. They don't speak. They feel your fear. Ilara looked at the drawing. Then she looked out the window. We're not alone. Back on Earth, Admiral Royce received the data. He called a private meeting. These attackers, they're not just raiders. They use tech beyond known science. They hide in silence. No bodies, no names. What do we do? Asked a General. Royce gave a slow smile. We prepare for war. Ravenlight set a course back home. But Ilara had one last stop. She landed on a nearby moon, dark and cold. There were no colonies, no buildings, but there were footprints, human-sized, but wrong. The feet had no toes, just long pads. The prints burned faintly, like hot ash. The crew followed the trail into a cave. Inside, the walls were smooth, polished, carved with the same clawed circle symbols. And in the center, a machine. Still humming. They didn't touch it. They just recorded, and left. As Ravenlight flew away, the crew didn't speak much. Lura stared out the window. They'll come again. Ilara stood beside her. Then Earth will be ready. Lura nodded. They don't know what humans can do. The stars still looked. Quiet, but now someone was listening, and Earth was awake. The silence was the first sign something was wrong. As the human ship Ravenlight floated above the destroyed alien colony, there was no sound from space, no signals from survivors, not even a warning beacon. Just cold, dark silence. Captain Ilara. Stone stood on the bridge. Her face was calm, but her mind was racing. Still no transmissions? She asked. Nothing, replied Anders, her pilot. Radio's dead. Scanners show no movement. Ilara stared at the screen. The ruins below were still burning. Fires danced across broken buildings as if they were waiting for something. Prep a team, she said. We're going down. The landing shuttle touched down near what used to be the colony's main square. Everything was ash and metal. Walls were torn open. Machines were melted. There were no signs of battle, just destruction. Ilara led the team out, their boots crunching against broken glass and twisted wires. Medic Kara held a scanner. Lieutenant Dax walked with his rifle raised. I don't like this, Dax muttered. It's too quiet, Ilara nodded. Stay sharp. Suddenly, Kara stopped. Wait, I've got something. They turned to her. Life signs, she whispered. Faint, deep inside the ruins. Let's move, Ilara said. They followed. Kara's scanner down a narrow path of cracked flooring and exposed pipes. The deeper they went, the darker it became. Strange burn marks covered the walls long. Sharp lines like claws had carved them. This place gives me the creeps, Dax said. What kind of weapon does this? Kara shook her head. Not a weapon. Look at the burn marks. They're too precise, too controlled. They reached a lower level. Smoke hung in the air like fog. And then they heard it. A soft sound. Like breathing. Alara raised her hand. The team froze. Lights off, she whispered. They turned off. Their helmet lights. Out of the shadows. Something moved. A figure stepped into view. It was a man. Human. His suit was torn. His helmet was cracked. His face was pale and sweaty. He staggered forward, holding his side. Help, he croaked. Please. Kara rushed to him. Who are you, Lieutenant Hayes? He whispered. Earth Recon, First Wave. We came before you. What happened to your team? Alara asked. Hayes looked around, shaking. Dead, all dead. We never stood a chance. What attacked you? He whispered one word. Ghosts. They brought Hayes back to the shuttle. On board, he shook under. A blanket. Kara gave him medicine, but his eyes kept darting around the room. They don't make sound, he said. They move through walls. They don't bleed. You shoot them, nothing happens. Alara sat across from him. You said they were ghosts. They look like shadows, he replied. Tall, thin, glowing eyes. No mouth, they don't talk. They just take you. Kara leaned closer. Take you? Hayes looked her straight in the eyes. You'll feel your chest freeze, then your head, then black. He didn't say more. Later, while the others were asleep, Kara reviewed her scans from the ruins. Something was wrong. The scans showed heat signatures inside the colony. Ruins, warm spots where nothing should be alive. Moving, watching. She ran to Alara's quarters. Captain, you need to see this. Alara stared at the screen. Those are life forms? Yes, but look at this. Kara clicked a button. They don't give off a normal biological signal. It's like they're not made of cells. No heartbeat. No oxygen use. Alara frowned. Machines? No, something else. Alara stood. Wake everyone. We're going back. At sunrise they landed again. This time they went armed and ready. Hayes stayed behind on the ship, too weak to move. As the team stepped into the ruins again, Kara checked her scanner. They're close, she said. Real close. They reached the command center of the colony. The doors were half melted. Inside, black ash covered the walls. Alara picked up a metal tablet. It still glowed faintly. She played a file. A voice echoed from the device. Panicked. Fast. This is Chief Varn of Drini Colony. We are under attack. Unknown species. They don't communicate. They kill without mercy. We tried to run, but loud crash cut off the recording. Then a whisper. One soft word. Silence. And then nothing. Shouted. Movement. From the far corner of the room, a tall black figure stepped into view. Its skin was like smoke. Its eyes glowed. Red. It didn't walk, it floated. The team raised their weapons. Hold fire. Alara ordered. The creature stopped. For a second, everything was still. Then the lights flickered, and the walls screamed. It wasn't sound. They felt it. A deep, heavy pressure in their heads. A silent scream that shook their bones. Dax pulled the trigger. Bullets passed through the creature. No blood. No reaction. And then it moved. Fast. The thing rushed forward and touched Dax's chest. He froze. His eyes went wide. His mouth opened. But no sound came out. Then he collapsed. Alara dragged him back. Fall back now. The team ran. Kara grabbed Dax's arm and pulled. His skin was cold. His eyes were open, but empty. He's alive, she gasped. But something's wrong. The creature didn't chase them. It just watched. Alara stared at it through the window. It didn't blink. It didn't breathe. It simply disappeared. Back at the shuttle, they laid Dax on the table. Kara scanned him. He's stable. But his brain, it's like he's asleep. Deeper than a coma, like something took his mind. Hayes, lying nearby, sat up. That's how they get you. Ilara turned to him. What are they? Hayes looked out the window. They're called the Zarn. Everyone froze. You've seen them? Ilara asked. He nodded slowly. They don't invade. They erase. You don't see armies. Just one. Or two. That's all it takes. They move through the walls. Through metal. Through thought. He pointed at his own head. They don't kill you. They turn you off. Ilara walked back to the command deck, set course back to Earth. She said to Anders, We've seen enough. But what about Dax? Kara asked. What if we can fix him? We will, Ilara said. But we need to get this data to Earth first. She looked at Hayes, and they need to know what's coming. As Ravenlight lifted off, the ruined colony shrank below them. But something stayed behind. A whisper, not from the speakers, not from the radio, from inside their minds. A voice with no sound, just one word. Silence. Ilara stared out the window, and for the first time in her life, she was afraid. The stars outside the window didn't shine the same anymore. Ever since the Ravenlight returned from the ruined colony, everything felt colder, like something unseen had followed them back into space. Captain Ilara Stone stood alone on the bridge. Earth was still 5 days away. The ship was quiet, too quiet. Even the hum of the engines felt distant. Behind her, the door opened. You're not sleeping either? Kara asked, stepping in. No, Ilara said. Feels like the ship is holding its breath. Kara nodded. I checked on Dax. He's still not awake. No change. He's breathing, Ilara said, but not living. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the stars. Then Kara said, The child wants to speak with you. In the med bay, the little alien girl Lura sat on a bench, hugging her wire doll. She looked up when Ilara walked in. Hello, Ilara said gently. You asked for me? Lura nodded. I heard the voice again. Ilara's eyes narrowed. What voice? Lura whispered, the one in the dark. It speaks without words. It watches in mirrors. It says it remembers me. Ilara sat beside her. Lura, when did you start hearing it? After they came to my home. After the shadows took my family. Kara stood nearby, uneasy. Captain, maybe she's just scared. Maybe it's trauma. But Lura spoke again. It said your friend, the one asleep, will open his eyes soon. But he won't be the same. That night, the whisper came. It didn't come from a speaker. It came from the walls. Ilara was in her quarters, half asleep when she heard it. A soft voice, deep, ancient. You came too close. She sat up straight. Who's there? She called. Silence. Then, again, you saw what should not be seen. Ilara grabbed her communicator. Bridge, report. Do we have any transmissions? No reply. She stepped into the hallway. Empty. Only shadows moved. She ran to the bridge. And found Anders there, frozen, standing still. Eyes wide, mouth open. He turned slowly, but his voice was not his own. You brought the fire, he said. Then he collapsed. Med bay was full of tension. Anders lay on a bed, his skin cold. Kara worked quickly, scanning his body. No injuries, she said. But brain activity is strange, the same pattern as Dax. What does it mean? Ilara asked. Kara hesitated. Something is entering their minds, taking something, or leaving something behind. Ilara looked at the sleeping crewman. He spoke before collapsing, but it wasn't his voice. Kara looked up. We're being followed, aren't we? Ilara nodded. Yes, and I think we brought something with us. The next day, they checked the ship's logs. Something was off. Logs had been altered. Camera feeds had 10-minute gaps. Messages to Earth were marked as sent, but Earth had never received them. We're being jammed from inside, Ilara said. That's not possible, Kara replied. Unless, she paused, unless something is hiding in the ship's systems. Ilara's eyes narrowed. A digital virus? No, something else. Something alive. They ran a deep system scan. The ship's AI flashed a warning. Unknown. Presence detected. Data corruption in progress. Then all lights went out. Red emergency lights flickered on. Alarms stayed silent. Doors froze. Gravity pulsed, making everyone dizzy. Alara grabbed a flashlight. Manual systems only. Check every corridor, no one alone. As the crew moved, Lura followed Ilara. I told you, she said softly. It lives in the dark. Ilara glanced at her. What is it? Lura whispered. It's called a Cries. It doesn't want to kill. It wants to learn. It listens. It copies. Ilara froze. Copies? Lura nodded. It watches us. Then it becomes us. In the engine room, 2 engineers worked in silence. One turned to the other. Did you hear that? No. They kept working. Then came a strange sound like whispering. But inside their heads, the second engineer turned. The first one wasn't there. Instead, something stood in his place shaped like him. But not quite right. Its face looked too smooth. Its eyes too black. Its smile too wide. It said nothing, just stared. Then the lights went out. Only screams followed. Alara found the body an hour later. One engineer was missing. The other had deep marks on his head like fingers had pressed into his skull. Same pattern, Kara said. Same brain damage. Whatever this thing is, Ilara said. It's inside our ship, and now it's killing. They made a plan, shut down all systems. Purge the AI core. Reset the ship and see if the creature could be flushed out. But as they prepared, the ship's speakers turned on. Anders' voice echoed through the corridors. Ilara. I see it now. The voice wasn't real. Anders was still unconscious. It wears our skin, the voice said. It walks our halls. You think you know your crew? Lura screamed. Turn it off. Ilara shouted. They cut power to the speakers. Silence. Return. Kara had one idea left. Maybe it's attracted to thought, she said. To emotion. That's why it attacks when people feel fear or pain. Ilara frowned. So we stop feeling? Kara hesitated. We isolate everyone. One room, no talking, no movement. No strong emotion. If it doesn't sense us, maybe it will. Go. Or, Ilara said, it might try harder. They began the lockdown. Everyone moved to safe rooms. Doors sealed. Lights dimmed. Ilara sat alone in the control chamber, holding a pulse rifle. Then came the whisper. Alone now, Captain. She stood quickly. Show yourself. But no one was there. Why do you fear the dark? The voice asked. You are part of it now. Ilara looked at the reflection in the screen. It wasn't her face. Looking back, it was hers. But wrong. It smiled. Then the screen cracked. In the medbay. Dax suddenly gasped. He sat up, eyes wide. Kara ran to him. Dax! Can you hear me? But he didn't respond. He turned his head slowly toward her and whispered, He's inside you now. Kara stepped back. Dax, it's Kara. You're safe. No, he said. We're all copies now. Then he screamed and collapsed again. Ilara ran in. What happened? Kara was shaking. He woke up. But something was wrong. He said we're copies. Lura entered slowly. He's not wrong. They turned to her. The Cries doesn't just copy people, she said. It copies ships. Voices, thoughts, whole memories. Kara looked around. Wait. What if, her voice dropped, what if we're not on the real ship anymore? They raced to the core. The AI system was running. But it wasn't Earth tech anymore. It was something else. The code was made of symbols they didn't understand. Moving letters. Changing shapes. Ilara stared at it. This isn't our ship. Kara whispered. It built a copy around us. Ilara stepped back. No, it built a trap. The real Raven light was gone. This place was a fake. A copy created by the Cries. They had been walking inside its mind, and now it was closing in. Ilara made a decision. We break it, all of it. We burn the copy down. She pulled her emergency beacon from her belt. This has a quantum spike. If we overload it, we may shatter the creature's illusion. Kara looked at her. Or it could kill us. We're already dead if we stay here. They activated the spike. The ship began to shake. Walls twisted. Floors melted. The air screamed. Stars outside the window flickered, then vanished. Ilara held Lura close. Don't let go. Light exploded from the beacon. Everything turned white. Then silence. When Ilara opened her eyes, she was lying on cold metal. Real metal. The raven light was back. Kara sat beside her, blinking. We did it. They checked the systems. All Earth. Codes were restored. Logs returned. No whispering. No broken mirrors. Anders and Dak still unconscious but alive. Ilara looked out the window. The stars were shining again, for now. The space over Earth no longer looked calm. Large warships hovered in orbit like sharks ready to bite. Stations buzzed with signals. Factories roared day and night. Humanity was preparing not for defense, but for revenge. Admiral Royce stood in the command tower of Fort Sentinel, a floating battle platform above the planet. Below him, Earth was covered in storm clouds. Like it too felt angry, he watched the report on a glowing screen. 3 crew members unresponsive. 1 ship hacked from the inside. Hostile contact confirmed. Unknown species. Zarn. Royce's voice was low and sharp. No more waiting. He turned to his officers. Build the task force. Launch in 72 hours. Back on the Ravenlight, Captain. Ilara Stone read her orders. She had returned from the shadows of the destroyed colony. 2 of her crew were still unconscious. The alien child Lura stayed close by, silent but alert. The whispers were gone for now. Ilara gathered the remaining crew. We've been chosen to lead the assault, she said. Earth is done watching. Now, we strike. Kara, her medic, nodded. Do we know where we're going? Yes. Ilara replied. The girl gave us coordinates. She remembers where the first Zarn base was, deep in the sector no one dares enter. That's where we hit them. The fleet was named Vengeance Wing. 10 massive battleships, 30 escorts, hundreds of fighters. Leading them was Earth's most dangerous vessel, Havoc 9, a dreadnought powered by twin antimatter cores. It had never seen war. Until now. Captain Ilara and Lura were transferred aboard. The ship's commander, General Braddock, met them with a hard stare. You're the one who brought back the shadow stories, he said to Ilara. They weren't stories, she replied. Braddock gave a half smile. Good. I've been wanting something real to fight. As the fleet approached the dark zone, the stars vanished. This area gives me the chills, said the ship's navigator. It's like space is hiding something. Ilara stood at the viewing deck with Braddock and Lura. There, Lura said, softly, pointing at a strange black shape in the distance. That's where they sleep. It wasn't a planet. It was a floating structure, a massive jagged fortress shaped like a clawed sphere. It spun slowly, surrounded by debris that looked like broken moons. The fleet moved closer. Braddock stood tall, charged the main cannon. Inside Havoc 9's core, engineers powered up the most dangerous weapon Earth had ever built, a focused PL-A-SEMA cannon. It could melt cities in seconds. Ilara watched the timer tick down. 10 seconds. The fortress didn't respond. 5 seconds. Still nothing. Braddock raised an eyebrow. Odd. No shields, no ships, nothing. Maybe they don't expect an attack, Ilara said. Or maybe she thought, they don't care. Fire. Braddock ordered. A beam of white-blue energy shot across the void. It hit the fortress dead center. For a moment, there was nothing. Then an explosion. The fortress cracked open like an egg. Chunks of black metal flew into space. Shockwaves rolled through the nearby asteroids. The crew cheered, but Alara didn't. "Something's wrong," she said. "It's too easy." Suddenly, alarms screamed. Dozens of enemy ships appeared, uncloaking all around the fleet. Long, thin ships shaped like blades glowing with red light. "They were waiting," Ilara whispered. "Shields up." Braddock barked. "Fighters engage. All ships battle formation." The calm turned to chaos. Missiles fired. Energy blasts lit up the darkness. Earth's ships moved fast, but the Zarn were faster. One of Earth's escorts exploded, broken in half by a spear of dark energy. Inside HFY-9, the crew shook from the impact. "They're targeting the engines," shouted an officer. Alara clenched her fists. This was a trap. The fortress was just bait. Lura held onto a chair, her small hands shaking. "They copy you," she said. "They knew you would attack. Can you stop them?" Alara asked. Lura didn't answer. Instead, she walked to a control panel and placed her hand on it. Strange symbols lit up, symbols no human had ever seen. "What is she doing?" Braddock demanded. "Trust her," Ilara said. Lura spoke calmly. "I remember their language. I can talk to their systems. I can open their secrets." She pressed a final button. Suddenly, a nearby Zarn ship stopped moving, just froze. "She's jamming them," Kara gasped. "She's breaking their control." With Lura's help, Earth's ships pushed forward. HFY-9's main cannon fired again, taking out 3 more enemy ships. Then came the real test. A massive Zarn battleship, twice the size of HFY-9, moved in from the shadows. Its hull was alive, moving, breathing, pulsing like muscle. Its weapon glowed purple. "It's charging," shouted the tactical officer. Braddock stood up. "Then hit it first." They fired everything: missiles, lasers, plasma beams. The Zarn ship absorbed it. And fired back. A wave of light slammed into HFY-9. Power failed. The ship drifted. "We lost main engines," an officer shouted. "Life support failing," said another. The lights flickered. The air grew thin. Kara helped Lura into a seat. "We need to restart the core." "I'll go," Ilara said. She ran through smoke-filled halls to the engineering deck. The room was full of sparks. Heat blasted from the walls. Alara found the override panel. Manual reset engaged. The system said. She turned the key. Nothing. She tried again. Then a voice behind her. It wasn't human. Alara turned. A Zarn figure stood in the shadows. Its face was smooth and dark. Its body thin, armor-like. "You copied our ship," Ilara said. "No," it replied. "We copied you." It reached out a hand. Ilara pulled her sidearm and fired. The bullet passed through it. She grabbed a metal rod and slammed it into the core. Sparks exploded. The lights came back on. Back on the bridge, systems roared back to life. Power restored. The officer cried. Braddock grinned. "Main cannon charge and fire." The Zarn battleship was still watching, waiting. HFY-9's cannon glowed. Lura pressed her hands on the console again. "I can blind them, just for a second." Ilara arrived on the bridge, covered in soot. "Do it," she said. Lura's eyes glowed faintly. The Zarn ship flickered. HFY-9 fired. The beam hit the enemy ship's core. For a moment, space went silent. Then boom. The massive Zarn ship exploded in a wave of light. The battle turned, with their largest ship gone and their systems jammed. The Zarn fleet retreated. The humans didn't chase. They watched, they breathed, they survived. Later, in the silence of recovery, Alara sat with Braddock. "You were right," he said. "This wasn't a fight. It was a message." Alara nodded. Earth answered. Braddock looked at Lura, who sat nearby, tired but calm. "What do we do now?" he asked. Ilara stared at the stars. "We go deeper." The stars blurred as the fleet slipped through hyperspace. Captain Alara Stone watched the screen closely. Vega Drift lay ahead, a dangerous space corridor known for disappearing ships and strange energy storms. No human fleet had passed through it without losses. "This place gives me the creeps," said Anders, standing beside her. "Too quiet, too dark." Ilara didn't answer. Her eyes stayed on the map. The coordinates they had were vague. The alien child Lura had insisted this was where the next Zarn base hid. But no one really knew what waited inside the drift. "Are we ready?" Ilara asked. "Yes, Captain," replied Kara, adjusting her med scanner. "Everyone is tense. But the crew is prepared." Ilara nodded. "Good. Let's not become another ghost in this drift." The ships moved slowly into Vega Drift. Outside, stars flickered like dying candles. Space bent and twisted, strange waves pulsing in the dark. Suddenly, the fleet's sensors went wild. "Energy spikes!" shouted the navigator. "Multiple reading ships. Unknown signatures." "Enemy?" Ilara asked. "Maybe." The fleet went to alert status. Weapons powered up. Fighters launched. But then the strangest thing happened. The signals vanished. One moment they were close. The next they were gone. "Contact lost," the navigator said. Ilara frowned. "Impossible." Then the communications broke. Static filled the air. The fleet was trapped inside the command deck of Havoc 9, General Braddock paced. "This is a trap," he said. "They're playing with us," Ilara agreed. "We walked into their web. We need to find a way out." "Any ideas?" Braddock asked. Ilara looked at Lura. The little alien girl sat quietly, staring at the screen. "I can try to sense them," she said. "But the drift hides everything." "Try it," Ilara said. Lura closed her eyes and whispered strange words. Ship's sensors pulsed, catching faint traces. "There!" Lura pointed. "A hidden field. They masked their ships behind it." Braddock nodded. "Then we hit the field. Break their cover." The fleet moved carefully. Ships fired low-energy pulses into the space ahead. For a moment, nothing happened. Then shadows appeared. Enemy fighters. But these ships were strange. They shimmered and changed shape. Sometimes like shadows, sometimes like metal. "Zarn tech," Kara whispered. "They're alive, not machines." The battle erupted. Missiles flew. Lasers cut the darkness. Explosions lit the void. Ilara led the fighters. "Stay close," she said. "Don't get separated." During the fight, Ilara's ship was hit. Alarms blared. "We lost shields," yelled Anders. "Brace for impact." Ilara shouted. The Zarn fighters attacked in waves. One crashed near the hull, causing a massive shock. Ilara gritted her teeth. "Can't hold like this," she said. "We need to find their base, destroy it." In the chaos, Lura's voice came over the comms. "Captain, the base is nearby." "How do you know?" "I feel it. The dark energy. It's stronger here." Ilara ordered a small team to follow Lura's lead. They jumped to a hidden asteroid field. Between giant rocks, a massive structure hid black as night and covered in spikes. The Zarn base. Ilara and her team landed on the asteroid. They moved cautiously. Base's walls pulsed with strange light. Inside, corridors twisted like a maze. "We need to plant charges," Ilara said. "And get out fast." As they placed explosives, strange whispers filled the air. Lura shivered. "The Karith are here." Suddenly, the shadows moved. Dark forms appeared, not like before. These were larger, more solid. They circled the team, blocking the way out. Raised his weapon. "Fire!" Bullets hit shadows. They passed through harmlessly. One shadow touched his arm. He screamed, dropping his rifle. Ilara ran forward, pulling him back. "We fight smart," she said. "Not with guns." "Then how?" Kara asked, breathless. "Use light." Ilara grabbed a flare and threw it. A burst of fire swept through the shadows. They screamed and vanished. They moved faster. Reaching the core, they found a glowing crystal. Lura stepped close. This is their power source. Alara placed the charges around it. We have 5 minutes before detonation. The whispers grew louder. Suddenly, the shadows attacked again. This time, more furious, the team fought with fire, light, and courage. Minutes felt like hours. The countdown hit 0. Explosion rocked the base. Flames and debris flew into space. Asteroid cracked. Ilara's team barely escaped. They jumped back to their ships. The fleet regrouped. The Zarn fighters vanished. The dark energy faded. Vega drift is clear, Lura said. Braddock smiled. Good work, Captain. Ilara looked too. The stars. This is just the beginning. The stars burned cold and distant as the fleet approached the new frontier. Captain. Ilara Stone stood on the bridge of the Ravenlight, her eyes fixed on the looming shape ahead. A massive structure stretching across the void like a giant wall of steel and fire. It was the Iron Wall, a fortress built by the Zarn to block humanity's advance. Look at that, Anders muttered, jaw tight. No one's ever broken through. Ilara nodded. Not yet. But they don't know who they face. Behind her, the crew prepared for battle. The air was thick with tension. No one spoke much, but every heartbeat was loud. General Braddock appeared on the bridge via holo screen. We've lost contact with the fleet ahead, he said, face grim. They reported heavy resistance. We can't let the Iron Wall stand. Ilara swallowed. We'll find a way. Braddock's eyes softened. We must. Earth depends on it. The call ended. Ilara turned to Kara. Medbay ready? Yes, Captain. We're ready for anything. The fleet moved closer. The Iron Wall was a giant fortress, towers bristling with turrets, shields shimmering like glass, and walls thick as mountains. Its surface burned with molten metal that glowed red and orange. Enemy fighters launching, shouted the tactical officer. The fleet's ships sprang to life. Missiles and lasers streaked across space. The battle began. Alara's ship dove into the fight. Fighters swarmed the Zarn defenses. Explosions rocked the fleet. Suddenly, the Iron Wall released a wave of energy, an invisible force that tore through shields and disrupted systems. Our shields are failing, Anders yelled. We need to hit their power source, Ilara said. Where is it? Lura's voice came through the comms. Below the wall's surface, deep inside the central tower. Ilara made a decision. We're going in. A small team boarded a stealth shuttle. Ilara, Kara, Lura, and Dax led the mission. The shuttle slipped past enemy fire, entering the Iron Wall's interior. Inside, the walls pulsed with power. The air was thick with heat and the smell of burning metal. Stay close, Ilara ordered. They moved through dark corridors, lit by flickering red lights. Strange machines hummed and shifted. Lura touched the walls. They're alive, she whispered. The wall breathes. Suddenly, alarms blared. Detected. A voice echoed. The team ran. Shadows flickered in the corners. Dax raised his rifle. Wait, Lura said. They're not shadows, they're machines. But more. The machines moved fast. They were spider-like robots with glowing eyes. They attacked. Ilara fired her sidearm, but the bullets bounced off their metal bodies. Kara threw a grenade. The explosion rocked the corridor, but more machines came. We need to reach the core, Ilara said. Deeper inside. The team reached a massive chamber. At its center was a giant reactor, a spinning sphere of molten metal. This is it, Lura said. The power source. Ilara set charges. We have 10 minutes to get out. Suddenly, a voice filled the room. Humans. You do not belong here. From the shadows stepped a Zarn commander. Tall, armored, and glowing with power. You'll die. Here. Ilara raised her weapon. We'll see. The fight was fierce. The commander moved fast, striking with energy blades. Ilara dodged, firing shots. Dax attacked from behind. Kara supported with medical tech, healing wounds quickly. Lura focused her strange powers, weakening the commander. Finally, Ilura's bullet hit his chest. The commander fell. The charges counted down. The team ran. The reactor exploded behind them. Fire and metal shattered the chamber. The shuttle waited. They jumped in and fled. Back in space, the iron wall flickered. Its shields failed. Earth's fleet pushed through. The battle turned. Later, Ilara stood with Braddock on the command deck. "We broke the wall," she said. Braddock smiled. "And the path to victory." Ilara looked at the stars. This war is far from over. The silence in space was heavy, almost alive. Captain Ilara Stone stood at the front of the Ravenlight, staring at the vast blackness ahead. They had reached the edge of the Zarn's territory, the darkest region anyone dared to enter. It was called the Heart of Darkness. "Are you sure about this?" Kara asked softly, standing beside her. "No one has ever come back from there." Ilara's eyes didn't leave the screen. "We have to go. This is where the Zarn control everything." Behind them, the crew prepared for what might be their final mission. General Braddock's voice crackled over the comms. "Captain Stone, intelligence reports a massive Zarn command station at the center of the heart. Destroy it, and we may break their power." Ilara nodded. "Understood. We won't fail." Lura sat quietly nearby, her small hands clenched tight. "This place, it's full of shadows. The Karith are stronger here." Ilara looked at her. "We'll watch your back." The fleet moved forward, engines low and steady. The stars grew fewer, swallowed by a creeping darkness that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the sensors picked up something. "Movement!" the navigator shouted. "Unknown ships closing in." "They're coming for us," Braddock sighed, voice steady. "Battle stations." Ilara ordered. Ships turned sharply, lasers firing into the void. The enemy fleet was larger than anything Earth had faced. Ships moved like ghosts, slipping between shadows. "Keep formation," Ilara sighed. "Watch for traps." The battle was brutal. Fighters and missiles clashed in bursts of light and fire. Ilara piloted Ravenlight herself, dodging blasts, firing back. Suddenly the ship shuddered. "Shields down." Anders yelled, "We need cover." Ilara called. Kara rushed to medbay as wounded filled the halls. One soldier gasped, "They're not just ships, they're alive." Lura whispered, "The Karith control them. They are one with the fleet." Ilara's voice came over comms. "We must find their command station. End this." Deep in the darkness, the Ravenlight and its fleet pushed forward. Ilara led a strike team in a small shuttle toward the command station, a massive spire of black metal, pulsating with dark energy. The shuttle shook as it entered the atmosphere. "Brace yourselves," Ilara warned. Inside the station, the air was cold and still. Corridors stretched endlessly. Lura touched the walls, eyes wide. "They breathe here." Suddenly, alarms blared. "Detected." A voice echoed. Shadows moved, and the team drew weapons. But these shadows were different, more solid, more dangerous. The Zarn commander appeared again, tall, fierce, glowing with power. "You have no chance here," he said. Ilara raised her gun. "We fight for Earth." The battle was fierce. Blades clashed with guns, light against darkness. Kara's med skills saved. Many Lura's powers weakened the commander. Ilara fired the final shot. The commander fell. They planted explosives around the core. Lura whispered a warning. "The Karith will try to stop us." The countdown began. Shadows swarmed, attacking with fury. The team fought with fire, light, and courage. Explosions rocked the station. Outside, the fleet fought harder. Zarn ships attacked in waves, but Earth's determination was stronger. When the core exploded, the Heart of Darkness began to crumble. The enemy fleet broke apart. The darkness lifted. Back on Ravenlight, Elora looked at the stars, now brighter. "This is the end," she said quietly. "But—" Lura shook her head. "The Karith never die, they only wait." Elara smiled faintly. "Then we'll be ready." The stars burned bright again, but Earth wasn't safe yet. Captain Elara Stone sat in silence on the bridge of the Ravenlight, staring at the cracked screen showing the fading remnants of the Zarn's command station. They had struck a major blow in the heart of darkness, but something still lingered. Something unfinished. Lura stood beside her, unusually quiet. The alien child's eyes had changed darker now, deeper. "What is it?" Elara asked gently. Lura spoke in a soft voice. "It isn't over. The Karith left something behind. A last weapon. A fury of flame." Elara felt the chill in her bones. "Where is it?" "Inside your world." Alarms suddenly blared across the ship. "Urgent transmission from Earth," shouted Anders. "They're under attack." Kara ran to the console, scanning the message. "There's a firestorm over New Berlin Station. Cities losing power. Satellites going dark. They say it's not just an attack. It's a burning wave." Elara's face turned pale. "They lit the planet from the inside." Braddock's voice echoed over comms. "All hands prepare for immediate jump. Earth is the battlefield now." The fleet moved fast. Hyperdrives screamed through the void. The stars stretched, then vanished. When they arrived above Earth, horror greeted them. Fires danced across the clouds. Lightning struck oceans. Floating cities were crumbling. Something massive hovered over the planet, a burning sphere of twisting metal and living flame. "That's not a ship," Kara whispered. "No," Elara said. "It's a living weapon. Their final creation." Lura stepped forward. "It's called Verncall. The flame of silence. It consumes everything. It was never meant to be controlled, not even by the Zarn." Elara called for a council in the war room of the Havoc-9. Braddock stood at the front, eyes stern. "We have one goal. Stop that thing. If we fail, Earth becomes ash." A scientist from Earth's command center explained, "The weapon draws energy from the planet's core. The longer it stays, the more powerful it becomes. Soon it'll ignite the mantle itself." Kara asked, "How do we stop it?" "Only one way," said Elara. "We go into the heart of the flame." Everyone went silent. The Ravenlight was chosen for the mission. Equipped with the last quantum warhead, it had one shot: get close enough to the Verncall's core, drop the warhead, and escape before the entire zone exploded. "Or die trying." "I'll fly," Elara said. Kara nodded. "I'm with you." Anders loaded the weapons. "Let's end this." Lura, still silent, held her small glowing stone. "I can open a path," she said. "But you must move fast. It will close behind you." The Ravenlight dove into the firestorm. Heat blistered the hull. Lights flickered. Pressure rose. Kara injected heat-resistant fluid into Elara's veins. "You've got 10 minutes. After that your body starts failing." Elara gripped the controls tightly. Plenty of time. They flew through storms of burning gas and lightning. The Verncall's body twisted around them, a shell of molten armor and swirling plasma. Lura stood near the engine core, whispering to the strange glowing system she could still connect to. "The opening is now," she said. A hole appeared. In the flames, the Ravenlight pierced through the final barrier. Inside, they saw it, a black sphere, pulsing like a heart. The core of the VU-RN-Co Al.ELAR guided the ship closer. The warhead armed itself. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. Enemy drones launched from the core, hundreds of burning creatures, shaped like blades. "We've got company," Anders shouted. ELARA fired the cannons. Kara took the second seat, shooting wave after wave of the living fire things. But it wasn't enough. One drone pierced. The engine bay. Smoke poured in. "We're losing power." Kara screamed. Elara looked at Lura. Can you hold the ship together? Lura's eyes glowed. She placed both hands on the console. I can, but I'll burn with it. No, Ilara said firmly. You're not dying here. Lura looked at her sadly. This is my fight too. Let me do this. Kara tried to argue, but the time was running out. Ilara made her decision. Drop the warhead. Anders nodded, his hands shaking. The warhead detached. Now get us out of here. Kara yelled. The Raven light turned, flying through a collapsing tunnel of fire. Behind them, the Vern Call roared, sensing its doom. The warhead hit the core. White light exploded across the sky. Raven light was thrown far by the blast. The crew blacked out. Hours passed. Ilara opened her eyes. She was in medbay. Kara sat beside her, bruised but alive. We made it, she said softly. Ilara, Anders said, stepping in. The fire's gone. Earth is safe. Ilara looked around. Where's Lura? No one spoke. Ilara sat up slowly, her eyes filled with tears. She saved us all. Later, a statue was built at Earth Space Command. It showed a small child holding a glowing stone. Flames behind her, peace before her. Lura, the last flame. Ilara stood quietly at the ceremony. Braddock placed a medal in her hand. You brought fury and flame, he said, but also hope. Ilara looked to the sky. And whispered, Thank you, Lura, for the light.